in a certain way, when you learn Torah, I hope the Siyat Nishmai should come out right. In a certain way, when you say over Dvar Torah, you almost should be telling a story, unforced. If somebody's learning right, it should almost be a story. What do I mean by that? Shlomo, everything we're learning is hitting our life. I was zeicher to learn Devar and David in the mirror. Every seder, every time we learned, I don't know, I can't say this always. I can't say every time, that would be exaggerated. But often it was a story was happening. Because he would learn we were learning Gegeres Ramban together. We would learn, he's like, oh, I have to do this better and more. It would fit into context of his life, what he was studying. Hashem was talking to him. And Hashem, Hashem knows us. And he's talking to us, so it should hit somewhere. So I find, if you ever hear Rai Shapiro speak, he's always like telling a story, because the Torah is like fitting into the context of his life. So when he speaks, he gives you what he was thinking, how it was hitting him, what it was doing to him, and it comes out almost like a story. Do you know what I mean, Yosef? When we learn things and we're open to what we're learning, so it will fit in and hit us a certain place and tell us something and lead us somewhere. So often, like a Dvar Torah ends up being a story. When I say a story, it's something live. And Hashem's, you say, I was going through my life, my Rebbe came and told me this, and his words penetrated my heart. Say, here, God told me. Somebody was asking, a man, he had a beautiful teretz. A guy in yeshiva asked, why doesn't Hashem answer back by prayer? He said, in any relationship, I talk to Hashem, and any relationship, even though listening amazing, and not Hashem Shemei was not talking back, he wanted prophecy. He wants Hashem to talk back. And man, he had a brilliant plan. I don't want to say it yet. I don't want to say it yet in public. I could talk to somebody. Man, he had a plan, perhaps. Everything is for a reason. Why Hashem does it that way? Why doesn't Hashem talk back to us? Man, he had a fascinating plan, Yosef. But I do want to say, when we learn Torah and read the Torah, Hashem's talking to us. Now, us Hasidim view that all the things that happen to us in life, Hashem's talking. Hasidim understood that everything's hashgacha. It's not relegated to Hasidim. The Hasidic world was busy with this. If some person by the gas station told them something, they heard a message from Hashem. I feel like Simchas Torah, Hashem has been singing and encouraging, we are Yidden, we are Yidden, we are Yidden. The whole world's saying Yid, Yid, Yid. I went with Manny to the gas station. I went with Manny to fix a tire that had burst on the way, that had needed to be replaced on the way to yeshiva. And an elderly gentleman came up to us. We were in the tire place, and his name was Frank, this elderly man. And he said, I am so sorry for you guys. He said, first of all, what happened on October 7th angered me. And he said, equal and maybe more, it angers me in universities. The response, I'm shamed, I'm disgusted, you guys were attacked. And he was saying words of comfort. Now, all his words of comfort were very appreciated, because we are hurting. And it was appreciated. Friendship, somebody cares. And most of the country thinks like Frank. But I want to tell you that what I heard more than all his words of comfort, you are a Yid. And he was doing it to be nice, but it's you guys. I want to tell, I'm with you guys, you guys, you guys. Even the being nice, and he's right, is you guys. We are a unique identity. We have friends, good friends, but we're a unique identity. And even in his words of comfort, I felt separated. It's you guys, and he's right. He's right. But I don't hear it as Frank coming. I hear it as Hashem. Hashem saying, Yidden, Yidden. I went last night, we were Zoiche, many of us went to a gathering of kids from the Hillel Yeshiva, kids from the Heichel Torah Yeshiva and guys from Durham, from Waterbury. We just vibrating so beautifully. We were one, and we really felt it. We really felt very united. We sang, Shlomo was that we sang together, danced together, schmoozed together, joked together, ate together. We really, we're one. We're not a separate. There was Sfardim, Ashkenaz. It's all, we're one people, and the world is screaming that. So when people say Hashem's talking, He's talking loud, He's talking clearly. I walked with my wife and daughter and son in Los Angeles. We went somewhere, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, to just walk and take in, just to spend quality time together. I found myself, I don't think I'm the biggest worrywart. Pretty, not that type. I was walking the streets. I was keeping an eye on all three of them, my family. I was walking like at a distance while we were walking. I've never had that in my life. I was walking and I was keeping an eye on my family. That's from Hashem. Now, I'm not talking about the fear factor. I'm talking about that we felt. I don't belong. I don't want to say I don't belong here. This country is great. They're very nice people. I'm not home. You're Yidden. You're not in your homeland. And there's something called the Yid. This is driven. That's Hashem talking. If you're like shallow, if a person doesn't have emunah, so you think that Hashem did that to me. That happened to me. That's from Hashem. Everything's from Hashem. He's saying so. He's talking. Hashem's talking loud and clear. Loud and clear. He's saying something. You're Yidden. The people encourage us. You go in the airport now, you're a little more careful. This is my experience. You fly somewhere, you're aware of your surroundings. It's like different. I'm 49. I've gone to airports my whole life. You go in, you're not looking around, and now you're like just a little careful. Make sure you're okay. We're being separated by Hashem. So Hashem talks. When we learn Torah, Hashem's talking to us, and you have Hashem. You can look up, so you're like, wow, that's what I needed to hear. So that's what, when you learn Torah, I say often it's a story. That's what it should happen often. You were in the middle of thinking about something, and you sat down to learn the parsha, and you're like, oh, Hashem, like, that's what I needed to hear. And Hashem works out. He'll have a Rashi that'll hit you with. He'll He'll kiss you with a Rashi. He'll hug you with a Malbim. He'll embrace you with a Balaturim. Hashem, there's a dialogue, an ongoing dialogue, and as such, I think always when we learn Torah, that to a degree a story, because it's Dvar of Chayim V'Kayam, it's very live words. A story should take place. Parshas Vayechi, a story happened to me. I had like an awareness of a whole topic that like became very, very important to me. I've told this story before. It's evolving. It's a lot of things I see in yeshiva and see raising my children, and it happened in Parshas Vayechi. There is a teaching in Parshas Vayechi that Yaakov Avinu teaches us. I think it's amazing. The Torah is not. It's not like, well, I can pull out a Musar. Hashem's talking and teaching. It couldn't have been. You always have to ask, why did Yaakov teach this teaching? Why not Avram, Yitzchak? That Yaakov Avinu teaches the following teaching is like magical, because he's the only one who should teach the following teaching, and it's a teaching I wanted my kids to absorb. I wanted you to absorb. I asked myself what the struggle to absorb this teaching is. Why do people struggle with this so much? And I want to tell you the whole sugya, Daniel. I'm extremely excited that Daniel is back home. Welcome home, Daniel. Daniel Jones, besides that we're fellow Daniels, I always appreciated the sweetness, the beautiful energy, and I'm excited he's back home for Shabbos. And I need to share this with you, Daniel, like this. For years, I want my kids, if I had like, I don't want to say top 10, 20, if I had a list of teaching I want my kids to learn, there's a teaching, you're going to raise a beautiful family, Daniel. You'll raise a beautiful family. Your kids are going to need to learn this, but I want to explain why it's so hard to learn. The teaching is, please memorize these words, Moshe. Talei bi'idnei sagidlei. That's the teaching that Yaakov Avinu teaches. Yaakov comes to Mitzrayim. Avi, this is a teaching that for years I struggled. I've become very close to Avi, and I want Avi to learn this teaching, but I've learned why it's so hard to learn this teaching. The teaching is, if you could say the words, Avi, Talei, Be'idnei, Sagidlei. Now, Yaakov Avinu, when he comes to Mitzrayim, when he's in Mitzrayim, and Yosef HaTzadik comes to visit Yaakov. Yaakov's on his deathbed. And it says, Vayischazek Yisrael. Yaakov Avinu strengthens himself, Vayeshev al Amita. Now it's obvious, by the way, that the pasuk, Yaakov and Yisrael are interchanged. Vayigad li Yaakov, and it is told, Vayaged li Yaakov, it's told to Yaakov, and they said, Hine bincha Yosef ba'alecha, your son Yosef has come to you. Vayischazik, now his name is switched, not Yaakov. Vayischazik Yisrael. Yisrael strengthens himself, Vayeshev al Amita, and he sits up. Says Rashi, Yaakov's the father, Yosef's the son. There isn't an appropriate scene. If the son strengthened himself and sat up for his father, that would be appropriate. Why is the father sitting up for his son? That's bizarre. Says Rashi, the following teaching, Amar Yaakov said, Ava Pishu Banai, even though he's my son, my kid, I don't have to get up for him. Melechu, he's the king of Klal Yisrael, very important. He's called Melech. I don't think he means that he's the assistant Melech, because for Mitzrayim he wasn't the Melech, he was the Mishnah Melech. Chazal are very exact. They don't like say like, oh, no, it means, oh, he wasn't the Melech. Wasn't the Melech of Mitzrayim. It says Melech. No, he wasn't. He was the Mishnah Melech. Chazal like me. No, don't learn Chazal like that. Grow up, Chevra. Don't learn Chazal almost. They say what they mean what they say. It says Melechu. The many Rishonim that say that Yosef HaTzadik had a din of Melech al Yisrael. He was the king of the Jewish people. For Mitzrayim, he was Mishnah Melech. For the Yidden, he was Melech. The Rashi says, even though he's my son, Melechu, he's a king. He's not a king. He's the assistant to the king. Don't call him the king. Torah is very exact. Torah is not like in a proximity. It's exact. It says Melechu because he was the Melech Yisrael. Achalek loy kavod, says Yaakovin, I'm going to give him kavod, he's the king. Mikan, we learn from here, shecholk and kavod l'malchus, they should give respect to the king, to the malchus. It bothers me a lot when people make jokes about the President Biden. It bothers me. Does he have the halach of a melech? Probably not. That's debatable. But malchus, there's such a call to a malchus that they definitely represents the malchus. One shouldn't. It's inappropriate. It's weird to make fun of the malchus. Weird. Not a Yiddish shazach. Act like a Yid. It's weird. You won't. I don't suspect you'll see big people make fun of a president. I don't think so. It would be like strange. I don't think very worked out people. I don't think you'll find them mocking. It's not what they do. Mikan. Says here that you give kavod to the malchus. V'chein Moshe chala kavod l'malchus. Moshe Rabbeinu gave kavod to Paroi. He gave kavod to Paroi. You're talking about a melech who was a Rasha. Moshe Rabbeinu gave kavod, gave respect to the king. V'chein Eliyahu, and Eliyahu as well. Now, I read the. Earlier, I read a later Rashi, and I have no regret to read that Rashi. Earlier in Pasuk Lamed Aleph, says, "Vayishtach v'Yisrael al Reish Hamita." Yaakov Avinu bows to Yosef. Says Rashi, "Talei be'idnei sagidlei." A fox in his time, you bow to him. Ask Rashi, why did Yaakov Avinu bow? It says, Vayishtachvu Yisrael al Reish Hamita. Yaakov Avinu bowed to Yosef. Says Rashi, why did he bow to his son? A matter of fact, the Rishonim asks is steering the two Rashis. The first one says Talei bidnei sagidlei. The second's Mikan shecholkin kavod l'malchus. That's spoken about. We could be ma'ayin in the Mefarshim maybe. Maybe Shabbos will study that maybe before the Suda. We'll see. But it says that Yaakov Avinu bows to Yosef, and Yaakov's the father and Yosef's the son. That's strange. Says Rashi, the fox in his time, you bowed him. Tale, be'idne, the fox in his time, sagidle, bowed him. Now, this is one of the great rules of life. A kid, your son, your third grade son is upset. The principal, my teacher. Tale, be'idne, sagidle. Right now, this person's in charge. Right now, they're in charge. The fox in his time bowed him, accept the circumstances. Now, by the way, nothing's a coincidence in the Torah. It's like a side teaching, cute. If it says it here, then this is the place to teach it. This is the start of our Galus, my friends. Yaakov Avinu is the Av who brings Klal Yisrael into Galus, and he's talking to Yosef HaTzadik, who's the first Melech in Galus. We're in Mitzrayim. Probably the only melech we ever had in Galus. Moshe Rabbeinu was considered a melech and took us to the borders. I guess I shouldn't say the only melech in Galus. But Yosef HaTzadik is definitely the first melech in Galus of Klal Yisrael, and probably La'alacha, the first melech of Yisrael. And Yaakov Avinu tells him something that accept your circumstances. Tale be'idne sagale, a fox in his time bow to him. I've had guys go to work in the summer and they hate their boss and he's such an idiot and he is not the smartest maybe. But Tale be'idne sagale, the fox in his time bowed to him. He's your boss. And healthy living demands the understanding of that. He's my boss. My principal, he's crazy. He has no principles, whatever. Well, could be true. He's your principal. Tale be'idne sagidle, a fox in his time bowed to him. Now this is the story of Galus. This is the story, this is not a side point, this is very profoundly the understanding of the acceptance of circumstances. And all the difficulties people face, there's an echo of Tale be'idne sagidle, the fox in his time bowed to him, acceptance of the circumstance. That always bothered me. Why do youngsters not understand this? I had a story in the front of the Beis Medrash. And a guy would go home. His mother had some mental issues, real stuff, some difficulties. And he would set her off and fight with her instead of accept Tale be'idne sagidle. Right now, this, and he knew how to behave that it wouldn't set her off. He knew. And he could deal with the circumstances that exist. And deal and succeed and have an easier Shabbos, an easier weekend, an easier life, and things would become and understand. Beseder, she loves you. She has limitations. She's a human. This is accept the circumstances. Tale be'idne sagidle, the fox in his time bowed to him. It's bizarre. Yaakov Avinu is the father. Yosef is the son. There's not the way it's supposed to be, but Hashem has reasons and cheshbonos, and this is the matzav now. Well, will yet change. It will yet change. But Tale be'idne sagidle, the fox in his time, you bow to him. That's how it works. And that's how it should be. That's how one should behave. And yet youngsters so struggle. For years, Avi, why is this teaching so hard? I remember sitting with a relative of mine. She's a wonderful person, a growing, sophisticated, sincere person. She was struggling with her principal. And I was sitting, I was talking this chazal, till I'm blue in the face. It seems so simple, Daniel. It's so logical and true, and yet youngsters struggle with it. Always ask yourself, don't just talk over, you could say Shah for 50 years, shh. Why isn't it working? Ask yourself, what's happening? So why do youngsters, it seems so obvious. Moshe, you're going to have with your kids, beautiful kids, and you're going to try to tell them this in many forms of this, Mayor. And you'll see it won't be easy. I want to help you to know what the difficulty is, Avi. Because if you understand the difficulty, if you understand somebody else, they'll understand you. So I don't stand alone. Every adult, whether they know these words or not, has many conversations with their child. Tale business, and they can't understand. Why does my kid my kid is so smart, sophisticated. I sat with this particular relative of mine. She's incredibly smart, sophisticated, really a developed person. And this they can't understand. Like, why is that? Yeah, you're right. And accept it. I'll tell you what I think. I think that kids are Shammai. Kids tend. I don't know Kabbalistically why. There's Shammai and Hillel. Hillel and Shammai, the way that some Svarim explain all over Shas, is Hillel is a kiyum of Talei B'idnei Sagadlei. Hillel is accept the circumstances as they are. This is the circumstance and live it. And Shammai is Sipisal Yeshua, the way it should be. Shammai, that's why it says, La'asid love it, we're going to paskin like Shammai. It's not a change of time. Shammai is the expression of what should be, and Hillel's an expression of what is. And kids are very Shammai. A guy in this yeshiva, it happened in the front of the Beis Medrash. I was exasperated. He makes it crazy in his house, making him crazy, his whole family. And instead of accepting, it would be easy for him. Life would be good. Like, accept. And he said, I'd rather craziness, chaos, but I want what should be than accepting what you're telling me is tragic to me. He said it in front of other guys there in the front of the Beis Medrash, and a whole discussion ensued, and most of the guys agreed with him. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, accept, chevra. Most of the guys said, you're telling us the saddest thing. I want him to accept his mother's limitations. I want him to accept that please accept this reality of service. He said, I'd rather chaos. I'd rather difficult times. You're sitting there. I don't get out. So just accept the principle. No, I'd rather fight. I'd rather impossible. I'd rather suffer than what you're saying. So it's very easy for you to say it. Just don't you want to? I'm not a 9 who's afraid. 9s are great. I'm not afraid of some tension. But it's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying accept the circumstances. I don't want to accept. See, peacefully Yeshua, I know the way it should be, and I will live what it should be. I don't know. It's remarkably cool. When this guy said it to me, it was a life changer. Cool. Yeah, because as it's it's not stupid.
Why?
Because there has to be an awareness of what should be. I think it's true, and there's you need Shammai and Hillel. There has to be an awareness, but it's not a minor thing. When somebody's standing up for what's right, there's a sense, if they just live like me, if we didn't have that, we would all forget what should be. Hashem put that koyach in the world. There's a sense, an indignation, a sense of, and even to the point where it's like, what are you doing? See, peace to Yeshua. This is not how it should be.
I would argue with you, it's just going to get crazy, and I realize
what do you say, Aaron? Keep in mind, it's interesting. Yaakov Avinu teaches Talei B'idnei Sagadlei. That Yaakov teaches this is very cool to me. Now he's teaching it through bowing to his son. There's a backwards order here, so I don't know if the son's doing what's right. The son's the Melech. Nobody did an Aveira. But Yaakov Avinu teaches at the start of Golus, at the end of his life. And Yaakov Avinu gives the great teaching of Talei B'idnei Sagadlei. Now this is not a simple teaching, and if you know with your own kids that the Tzipisali Yeshua, I don't say to give up on teaching it. I promise you'll have more success teaching it. Because instead of a frustration, I promise, I was upset at the guy. When he taught this to me, I was like, whoa, I understood him. Something was so frustrating. He explained something. He said, you're so sad and sorry. You're like, I was like, he's right. There's a certain beauty to Tzipi Sili Yeshua. Now, if you can understand that, feel it, experience it, appreciate the beauty of Tzipi Sili Yeshua, so then we could get to Talei B'idnei Sagadlei. I think, like always, if you understand the perspective of another person, they'll bother to understand your perspective. You know what I'm saying, Dubi? I've been taught this time and again, and if I did not, till that time, he changed my life, because when we spoke it out after frustration, it was like a Ani Yosef moment for me, because how many times do you teach your kids? Why don't kids? Every adult knows this. Why do so many of our guys working for somebody can't just accept he's in charge? Because it shouldn't be this way. because he's acting so ridiculous. Now, there's a sense of tzipisa liyeshua. I think kids tend to be Shammai-like. They have a certain Shammai-like quality. I don't know when it switches over. I think we have to incorporate Shammai, and please be very careful to understand. Hillel knew Tzipisa Yeshua, Shammai knew Talei B'nei Sagile. When we speak such Lashinus, we mean the that each one specifically brought out to the world. They both incorporated both. We would find them as very balanced. But the tzipisa Yeshua that a youngster has when your kid is indignant and you're going to want to teach, I guarantee you will all have Talei B'nei conversations with your kids. And you'll have them with yourself too, by the way. And understand that tzipisa Yeshua is a beautiful thing. And when you're all mad, like, what are you doing? Understand that he's saying it can't be like this. And there's a hope for something more real, more honest, more... And just to say, if we would all like quickly go to that place of acceptance without a tzipis lishua, that would be tragic. So there needs to be that energy of this isn't right, of there's something I'm hoping for more and better. There needs to be that energy. That's needed in the world. Without that in the world, you're missing something deep. People have, it's interesting, I've said over the Radomsk before. I said over the Radomsk, said about the Shibud Mitzrayim is called Sivlois Mitzrayim. And to be Saivel means to accept, and the Radam said in a certain way, Galus can cause a deep, profound acceptance of B'diavad Matzavim. That's called Sivlois Mitzrayim. To be Saivel is to accept. That's tragic. When people like live without a tzipisa Yeshua, without a sense of what could be, what needs to be, what will be, what we're striving to be, there's a sadness to that. There's a deep melancholy. Everybody's like, trust me, if there's only an energy of Talei B'nei Sag, the guys, and most of the guys agreed to the Bacher. They were mad at me. Why don't you just accept that? Are you? But they were like strong about it. Accept that? I will never accept it, never. Now you could say, you don't accept it, you're going to have misery. Okay, like, there was a sense, but I yearn for something. I need something should be, and I won't let go of what should be. By the way, that has expression in prayer. There's all different expressions of things. What should be, what could be, what be'etzem is. There's a big value to that. There's a huge value to that honesty, to that. I picture with that relative, and I was like begging for something. There was I should have like soaked in and like absorbed what was being taught at Tzipisa Yeshua. You hear what I'm saying, Maish? Dubi, what says you, Dubs? Have you seen youngsters are more like this? So it's funny, for years, Dubi, I'm like frustrated. What if the guys, jobs in the summer? I could lose my mind. The amount of guys who struggle with jobs, like I want to take the guy, like, he's your boss, like, and guys like, this is if there could be in camps, it could be in Woodburn, the lessons of Talei B'nei Sagile, he's your boss, and you gotta like, it's like not complicated, but youth don't live like that. Youth don't live that way. They
make themselves miserable.
Yeah, they do.
And good.
But there's an energy, so it hurts me. Yeah, for sure. But what the tzipisa, but there's something like so cool. But there's a coolness that there's a hope for what should be. There's a coolness to that a kid doesn't accept quickly. There's something beautiful about that. Now, if we could incorporate both, but Hashem, there's an energy that's in the world that's put there clearly of no way. Now, good. You'll see. You'll have these debates with your kids, Yedidya, and you'll see it's like a fast. But I think maybe I just helped the debate. Because if you could see what energy they're bringing to the world, they'll see what energy you're trying to add. Make sense?
Arrogance also, Rabbi? It's like a swallowing of like your own color. Like
so Gershi, I want to say like this. Gershi said it's hard to do this. Gershi said it takes also. Rav Ezi's saying there could be bad midas. I don't want to just chalk the whole thing up because of my tendency to believe that things have good shrashim. I agree with Gershi that there are times for us all where the struggle is simply bad midas. and it humbles us to accept the circumstance. I think a lot of the hisnagdos is not arrogance, is a want for what's true and right. I agree with Gershi that often it's very good for us to say it's not just the b'diavad, it teaches humility. Galus teaches a lot. It's not just shucks, this is so stupid. You learn some humility and you learn to accept, you learn to let go. Galus has all these elements of letting go, of your picture. It's all of Hester Panim. There's not how it's supposed to be. Hashem knows there's a Rebbeinu Shalom running. Accept what is. Accept. There's a deep humility, and there's something beautiful that brings us to when we get there. So Galus is not like this bad. It's all Hashem. Koman Dav Rachman L'Tav of it. So I agree with Gershi. It humbles us, and there's tremendous process in this Talei Bidnei. We all have it in our life. We all have it in all different cases and examples. Yeah, for sure. And there are times you want to assert and stand up, and that's not the thing to do. Sometimes it's even with anti-Semitism. Sometimes we see something and we can go and we can do something about it. And sometimes there's all built into Galus. My Rebbe told us, his Talmidim, and from Chazal, that the attitude of a Yid in Galus is often not to get back in the face, to show them, to stand up, is often to say, Talei Bidnei Sagla. That's a big part of Galus. Now that brings humility, that brings a certain, and it's not all just tragic. Hashem, of course, is working with us, and of course, like Ershi says, Talei Bidnei Sagle brings the humility, no question about it. I came today to study this pasuk. I'm happy, Daniel, you joined us to study this. I think there's a lot of richness in this sugya, in both aspects and elements of the sugya of the tzipis issue. I think that Yaakov Avinu taught it to us at the onset of our galus is huge and cool. You'll find times all of us in our life who will have to tap into Talei Bidnei Sagidlei, into such an energy, and it's not like weak. There's something very beautiful about that. Hillel is today's shiur I presented Shammai's side. So it's always if you have two sides, you could present one side as wow, and the other side is I gave an excitement for Tzipis Yeshua. Now Rev Ezi and Gershi both gave a strong plug for Hillel. Hillel has a beauty to it. There's tremendous faith in Hillel. There's a tremendous humility, which is the mid of Hillel, is Anava's humility. There's a tremendous humility to Hillel. There's a tremendous reality. Rav Ezi says to be successful, you're just making misery. Gershi says to be humble, you need Hillel. So we could give a big plug for Hillel. Our kid in all different circumstances, when they learn to be humble, and I feel a certain way, and they'll need that for life. Because Hashem runs the world, and you'll have things where you have to learn to be humble, to say, I don't know, to say, even though it's So the Tzipis Yeshua element is beautiful and necessary, and the humility of I don't know, of Hashem knows better, this is the circumstance, He's in charge, she's in charge, He's my boss. The humility of that is very important. Kiv, we've all faced this, right? I almost have you had to describe raising children as this you have so many different places that it comes out in, and the adult just shakes their head what is going on? And the kid will continue insisting, but there's the Tzipis Yeshua, the Shammais of the world. They'll fight till when, I don't know till when, till they become an adult, but you want to keep the chiyos. Tzipis Yeshua has a tremendous chiyos. The guys were so disappointed in me that you lead such a, I don't want to say just a dull, you're so where is the sense of what's right, the fight for what's right, and this guy was willing that things were miserable and there was chaos because he wasn't accepting something that he feels shouldn't be true. Interesting, right, Daniel? Yeah. Okay. There's more to learn on Vayechi. I'm excited to have a Shabbos. It's something, an exciting week. It's the first time. My parents are Rebbeim of mine, my father and my mother. and it's the first time I'll be Zeicha that they'll be in Durham. They've come to us in Sula many Shabbosais, but it's the first time that I'll have my parents here in here in Durham is the first time, so I feel an exciting. Every Shabbos here is precious and exciting. This is the week that Daniel came back, Yedidya came back, the Chevra is back, the Yamin is back. I'm Zeicha that this week I'll be marrying my father, my mother. I'm hoping the Chevra, maybe even my mama will speak, my tata will speak. I'm hoping a Shabbos Suda Mishpacha, there's no speech. Maybe you'll be able to plug in. My mother is a person of incredible faith. Her emunah in Hashem is something that's very, very, she got it from her own mother who survived. So, yeah, my Oma. My mother is a person of faith. You get a bracha, she's a big davener. My mother spends her days davening and chesed and davening chesed. She spends her life on davening and chesed. Introduce yourself. My mother is a very, very special person, a very Torah-dika person. Her connection to Hashem is very, very powerful. She's somebody who's davens a lot and says Tillim a lot. And chesed and Tillim are the life forces of her life. So I'm excited for the Chevra. I'm excited the Chevra should meet my tata and my mama. I want Gersh, I want you to meet my tata and mama. So we'll get that. Does anybody, I know actually, candle lighting is 4:12. Is that a truth, Chevra? 4:10?
4:10. Durham.
Wow, Durham's 2 minutes earlier than there?
These days.
Right, okay, so 4:10.
Things are shifting.
They're very important. Why do I like these weeks? For a guy who's late, that the world's moving later, that Shkia is moving later, it just somehow feels more. It was getting earlier is like intense on me. We officially move. Shabbos late again. We're officially moving later, but 4:10 is candle lighting, which makes 4:28 as the brick wall. 4:28 is Shkia. There'll be a minyan for Mincha, and we need to get it before Shkia for my father. Mine and Johnny's minyan. My father will not be davening at mine and Johnny's minyan. He'll even daven. You'll do a big favor if you make a minyan for my tata at 4:15. But if we could have 10 here, then it would be very appreciated. Because all of a sudden you're going to see this Shabbos. Like everybody's like, we'll figure. We'll all work this out. But if we could have 4:15, 10 Yidden that are ready for Shabbos to join my father, because he will not be missing Shkia. So 4:15 will be Mincha. Yashkar Chavasa.